Hello everyone and welcome to Talk of the Town. We're Jeff and Eileen Hills. We are doing the Talk of the Town show once a month. Thank you Ken and Karen for producing it for us. And we are Healthy Appetites, 44 Long Pond Road in Plymouth, if you've never heard of us. And how could you have never heard of us? I don't know, but some have not. They're new to town. So let's start by saying hello to our underwriters. First, Cape Auto Body and Service. They're on Samoset Street and Sandwich Streets, right here in Plymouth. Great service, great people, and they're a great place. I go to them personally on 44. Okay, One Stop Painting. Jeff is looking for painters, so if you're a painter, get a hold of him. Everyone knows him. He does painting, papering, gutter cleaning, deck staining, and he's very well. Everybody knows Jeff. I think everyone knows Jeff. So we do. So, okay. Next is Brewster PC Solutions. He will travel to fix all your computers, printers, and phones. Electronics are his specialty. You've probably seen him on here. His name is Wrestling Brewster, and he fixes all your technology. Okay, and last but not least, Quintel's Farmers Market, 1 Scobie Circle in the Plymouth Industrial Park off of Cherry Street. They're great prices. Everybody we talk to, I have to get down there because the prices sound amazing. Fresh produce and yummy fresh foods, open 9 to 5 just on Saturday and Sunday. It's indoors. So it's at that little Scobie Circle in the Industrial Park. And actually, they did a great show with Quintel's a few weeks ago because of the big storm. I watched it. I liked it. Okay, so today Jeff and I are going to talk about health. You're welcome to call in and ask us a health question. We did a radio show on WATD since 2009. We've been on talking about health, so ask us anything. But we also are on social media and asked our social media followers. We've got about 26,000 if they had any questions for us tonight. So we got a bunch of those, and we're going to read those. And I think that's about where we are.
Yeah, you put a post on Facebook asking people who want to ask us things, because people always want to ask us things, and they always have ideas for what we should talk about on the air, whether it was back on the radio or on this show. And you got, I think, about 70 questions.
Yeah. Yep. And if you want to look at our Healthy Appetites page, it's at Healthy Appetites. And our Instagram and our Twitter is, what is it?
Plymouth Healthy.
Plymouth Healthy, thank you. I'm only on it, if anybody knows me, 24/7. But okay, so those are our social media accounts. And do you want to talk about our first question that we got?
Well, like I said, you got about 70 questions on Facebook.
Yeah.
We went through and picked things that we thought were relevant. Some questions were asked multiple times.
Yes.
Or in kind of variations of the same question. So I actually had Eileen pick the questions. I said, why don't you pick the questions that you think are the most relevant to this show, things that would look good and sound good on the air, things that are things that people ask us a lot about on the store.
Yeah.
And we've got some good questions.
We do.
And I think hopefully we've got some good answers too.
Well, you'll have good answers. He's very smart. You'll see tonight. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, first question is from Joe Appleton. Okay. Besides apple cider vinegar, what can I use for heartburn? He also asked an ATD question, but we'll get to that after. Okay. So, it's besides apple cider vinegar, which is very good for you, and it does stop that, GERD feeling. What else can you use? Because a lot of people don't like to use apple cider vinegar.
It can be a little rough.
It's rough.
It takes a little getting used to. It's very effective. I mean, some of the thinking there is that you do apple cider vinegar, which is acidic, and the belief is that there's a nerve in your stomach that tells the little flap at the top of your stomach to close, and if there's not enough acid, that doesn't get triggered, so the apple cider vinegar triggers that, closes the flap, and you don't have acid reflux. There's other things that I think are very, very effective. Affordable, things that have multiple uses. One of my favorite things to use for acid reflux would be aloe vera juice. You can use aloe vera gel. very similar. You might want to dilute the aloe vera gel a little bit. It comes unflavored and flavored, so you can get some pretty palatable stuff. There's actually one that tastes exactly like water. Really, really effective for acid reflux. Also has a nice impact on your intestines. It's very healing. Anyone who's had a sunburn and has put aloe vera on there knows that aloe is very healing, and it calms everything down. So when you do the aloe internally, it does essentially the same thing. So it's really, really great for acid reflux. Another really commonly used product for acid reflux would be something called DGL. And DGL stands for deglycerized licorice. And that is more often than not a chewable, although there are now some pills you can just swallow that you don't have to chew if you don't like the taste of licorice. And it's really effective for acid reflux and also for ulcers. Licorice has almost a steroidal effect, where it just calms everything down. If you use regular licorice, though, it has something in it called glyceric acid. And glyceric acid will make your blood pressure go up, which is something that most people don't want.
But DGL doesn't make your blood pressure
The
go up.
DG in DGL stands for deglycerized, so it's deglycerized licorice. And it's really, really effective for acid reflux and, once again, for ulcers. Something that's used a lot that, people have had, a mint after a meal.
Yes.
Peppermint spirits, which is essentially a tincture made out of peppermint and alcohol. Very, very minty, as you can imagine. And that, as you can imagine, mint cools things down. Cools things down in your stomach, too. So it's really great for just cooling your stomach down.
That will also, you have to warn people, it gives you a minty fresh colon.
It does. Now, this is not the same as the product we would recommend for gas or IBS, which would be enterically coated peppermint oil.
So when somebody has a problem, I say, is it here or is it here? Lower or higher? Because it's peppermint spirits if it's like
if it's
acid
stomach.
reflux.
Yeah, if it's stomach, upset stomach, sour stomach.
But if it's intestinal, then it's definitely...
Then you want to use the enterically coated
Right.
peppermint oil.
Because it goes through your stomach and because it's protected,
Yep.
and then it breaks in your intestine.
Yes.
Okay.
And calms everything right down. And that's something that's used a lot internationally, and it's very, very effective.
Also gives you a minty fresh colon.
And even mintier and fresher
Mintier,
colons.
yes, the enterically coated is mintier.
My favorite thing to use personally for acid reflux would be orange peel extract. Orange peel extract is great for acid reflux. I don't have consistent acid reflux, but I went through a bout of it, of having acid reflux, and that shut it right down. Orange peel extract, the one I was doing at the time was something you did every other day, 1,000 milligrams. You only did it for 20 days, so every other day for 20 days, 10 pills. And that was clinically shown to be effective for acid reflux for as long as 6 months.
So how long did it last when you did it every other day? How long did it take before it came
I
back?
got to say, the first time I did it, I made it about 4 pills, and I never bothered to do it again because it was so effective. It just shut it right down.
Oh, really?
And I was good for quite some time.
Did you burp up the orange?
I did not have that experience, but other people have.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you've done it
Yeah,
too.
I did it too.
Yeah, I think it's great. I don't think
Yeah, it
anything works
works.
quite as well. I think that, to me, I think that's the most effective thing. I would say the things that, probably besides apple cider vinegar, that we sell the most of to people for acid reflux would be the aloe vera gel. It's very inexpensive and very effective. So that's a great way to go, especially, if money's tight, you can get a
Yeah.
bottle for about $5.
Yeah.
So great way to go. Mastic gum is something you'll see in some chewable products, and you'll see it in some pills that you swallow. And it's really just a fiber that helps calm acid reflux, but very effective too.
And we should say too that you don't want to do like a Prilosec. Remember when we were doing the radio, we talked about it causing...
Oh, a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Osteoporosis was the first thing it was linked to. It's very different. You can't absorb your minerals if you're not doing it in an acidic environment. So you've got to have acid in your stomach to break down your calcium and your magnesium so that you can utilize them. And when you do, an acid blocker. Obviously, you can't do that.
Right.
So it's not a great thing to do long term. I mean, most of those things were designed to be done for very short term. I think Prilosec might have been designed to be done for 2 weeks at a time, and then you're supposed to stop. I've talked to people who've been on it for years on end.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not something you want to do all the time.
It sets you up for Alzheimer's, heart attack, bone loss.
Alzheimer's was, you know what, you could tell people it's going to hurt your bones, it's going to hurt everything. It wasn't until the studies came out that said that Prilosec would affect you mentally that people said, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then we saw all kinds of people coming in.
We did.
For the other things that we mentioned on this list.
So, are you ready for our first call?
We have a phone call?
We have a phone call.
Sure.
Okay, I don't know how this works. Do I just hear them? Hello? Nope, I don't hear anything. Hello, caller.
It's a telepathic message.
You have to love live TV.
Hello, caller.
No? Oh, I hear an echo. Should I, while we wait, should I read the ATD
Yeah, while we're waiting, why don't you go
All right,
to
I'll read the
Joe's
ATD's
secondary question.
Okay, Joe's secondary question was, rumor has it that the real estate show that took your place on Wednesday night on WATD, we had a talk show on ATD from 6:15 to 7 for years. Will you guys go back? We all miss you guys. No offense to your TV thing. Oh, this thing.
No offense to the thing you're on right now.
We have not heard from them. It's their business, so I don't know.
I would be shocked if they called us.
I would be shocked too, but
I don't expect a phone call.
no, but we appreciate the experience that we had there, and we thank them so much. So
And to quote Bill Belichick, on to TV.
on to TV. So here we are. All right. So it doesn't look like our phone call is going to come through right now. Oh, just a minute. Okay. So one thing that we were talking about with the enterically coated peppermint going through the stomach into your intestines for like IBS. A lot of people I recommend if you have Crohn's, diverticulitis, anything that gives you that stomach ache out of the blue, carry them around with you because it takes the pain away in 20 minutes. Because
It's great
it just
stuff.
flattens the muscles. So
And if you're just an occasionally gassy person,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a great thing to do.
yeah, our most sold thing for gas though is definitely charcoal. That's the hot thing right now.
Charcoal you have to be a little more careful with. If you do, Eileen's talking about activated charcoal, comes as a pill.
Yeah.
Also comes as a powder if you can't swallow pills. It's just what it sounds like. It's charcoal. Charcoal has this ridiculous surface area, so when you swallow it, it absorbs many times its weight in gas and other things. So you have to be careful with it.
Because it takes everything.
So if you took a medication that you're dependent on, and you take it with charcoal, the chances are you're not going to get to utilize that medication. It's just going to be absorbed by the charcoal.
Yeah. And now they have charcoal for your face, so it absorbs the toxins.
I use charcoal toothpaste.
We have charcoal toothpaste at our place. Come on down.
It's a little weird.
It makes your teeth whiter.
Spitting,
Oh yeah, you
black.
have to really,
It's a little
really
odd.
clean.
It's a little odd,
So
but
it forces you to really clean.
you have to clean the sink too. But
But yeah, your teeth are very black. So do you floss after? Because you kind of have to, right?
No, you only get a
No?
speck here and there in
Oh my
in between the
goodness.
teeth.
I must have
you know?
wide.
You must.
I must. Because I'm always like, ah. But your teeth are white after.
Yep.
So
It's great stuff. That and the clay toothpaste.
the clay. Yeah.
Once again, sounds really odd to brush your teeth with clay, but it's fantastic. So.
Yeah. But they're coming out with all this stuff about fluoride that's not so hot for you, so.
You know the weirdest thing? I was at the dentist today, and there was a little kid in the waiting room,
Yeah.
and the dentist was having a conversation with the child who was refusing
The
to do the
fluoride?
fluoride. Said, I'm not doing the fluoride.
Would
And
you-
it was about an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah. Because
I stayed out of it.
I was going
I
to
just-
ask you.
I just walked out. But I had things to say, but I will
course.
not say them. This is not my child.
Right.
But yeah, Little overrated.
Did they make
fluoride.
them?
I didn't stay for the end. I
Yeah.
was on my way out.
Well, fluoride breaks down your bones if you swallow it.
There's really no evidence that fluoridated water helps your teeth at all. The only thing I've seen that it absolutely has been proven to do if you do it internally is it can cause bone cancer in young boys.
Oh,
I haven't seen
God.
that link in young girls. I haven't seen that link in adults, but has been linked conclusively to young boys. So that's an issue. I understand we have the phone call back, so
Yes? All right.
can you hear us, caller?
Hello?
Yes, I can.
Oh!
Hi.
Hi!
My name is Tracy, and I'm from Kingston, and I have a couple of questions to ask. I'm hoping that you guys can help me out.
Okay.
Okay, so I have fibromyalgia, and I have constant aches and pains. I also I'm an older person. I'm not quite 50 yet, but I'm...
Then you're young to us, Tracy.
You're a puppy.
But I'm starting to get some perimenopausal symptoms as well. So
Okay.
sleep is very difficult for me. So I'm wondering, there's two hot topics that I've been hearing about. One is the Gavitrol, and the other one is the CBD oil. If you've already discussed this, I apologize to have you, ask the questions again. But are either one of those something that I would find relief from for like aches and pains, stress, sleep? Are any of those?
All right.
And if they're not, what would you recommend for me?
All right, you want to start with the fibromyalgia?
Fibromyalgia the go-to product for fibromyalgia is something called magnesium malate. You may also see it labeled as malic acid with magnesium. Malic acid is part of the body's energy production cycle. Magnesium is used in a lot of things your body does with muscle and nerve. So, for instance, if you had muscle cramps, we would tell you to do magnesium. You get a little deficient in magnesium,
Right.
you'll get cramping. And most people are deficient in magnesium.
Okay.
It's very effective for muscle pain if you do the magnesium bound to the malic acid. And it's one of the more studied and proven things for fibromyalgia. So I think that's a great way to go. I haven't seen a specific study on the CBD in fibromyalgia, but it would figure that would be effective for that.
Because it brings down inflammation, CBD. So that would make sense. And also there's other products for fibromyalgia that have been very popular that have other ingredients. The one from Terry Naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be mostly an anti-inflammatory product. The product you're talking about is going to be a combination of turmeric, or curcumin, the active component in turmeric, boswellia, which is, if you do it as an oil, boswellia is frankincense. If you do it as a supplement, we call it boswellia.
Yeah.
And there's a few other ingredients in there, but that is kind of a core anti-inflammatory formula that involves those two herbs that are really, really potent anti-inflammatories. And we have gotten
Now, how do you-
some rave
how do you
reviews on
take
that
that?
combo. It's a pill. It's a couple of soft gels a day, and that's a very effective product. A little more money than the magnesium malate. You can get magnesium malate for about $10 for enough for a month,
Yep.
and really works. It has multiple things that magnesium is used for so many things that it's one of those things that if you do it for your muscles, great. You're doing something great for your
Yeah.
muscles, but you're doing things that are great for other things too. So I do love to see people do the magnesium malate. CBD also very multi-purpose, great anti-inflammatory. We're going to be talking about that a little later in the show. You mentioned Gavitrol. Gavitrol is a particular product. I'm not sure if we're supposed to mention products by name, but it is the main ingredient in there would be something called phenyl GABA, which you may also see referred to as phenylbutt, which is a type of the amino acid GABA. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So in other words, it tells your body to stop doing things.
I always say it stops the crazy ant in the closet in 20 minutes.
I need that.
Yep, it's amazing stuff.
So when you've got that thing that your mind's racing and you can't stop thinking about things, and you're laying in bed thinking of things, phenyl GABA is very effective to stop that. It stops that kind of borderline OCD behavior.
So now that will also promote like a relaxing demeanor for myself. Like, will that help me get to sleep?
There's-
I don't want to take pharmaceutical
Right.
things to make me go to sleep. I'd rather go the natural approach. And I do have a pill that I use to help me go to sleep, but it always makes me feel like I'm drunk the next morning, and I don't like that.
I mean, it's worth giving it a try. It's
There's a nighttime product
Yes,
to this phenol GABA.
Oh.
And so that's how we found it, because Jeff searched everywhere to find it for me, because I haven't slept since birth. So he found this product for me, and now I sleep pretty well. And CBD
Excellent.
helps sleeping too, but not like this phenol GABA. It's totally different. And can I ask you a question about your perimenopause?
Yes.
What are your symptoms?
Oh, what are they? Mood swings,
Yep.
hot flashes.
Yeah.
I wake up in the middle of the night drenched. I
Yep.
want the fan on and the window open, and my husband is freezing.
Oh.
I'm just...
Imagine that.
never-
Welcome to Jeff's
Yes.
life.
I can't relate to that at all.
Go ahead.
But I'm just you're very moody. One minute I'm
Yeah.
friendly and happy, and the next minute my face is like angry looking, and I'm not an angry looking kind of person, so I really don't want to go that way. I also it runs early in my family, and my sisters, they're older than myself, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it'll pass, but when I get into a hot flash, it's there, and it feels like I stepped into fire.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if either one of those products, or that would help with that. I really don't want to go the pharmaceutical route.
No.
I really want to stay as close to natural as I can. So.
Well, the crazy ant in the
And
closet.
forgetfulness, is that a part of this? Because I forget
What
everything
is what
now.
is what a part of it? I'm sorry.
Forgetfulness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I found my hairbrush in the refrigerator, so yeah, there's my forgetfulness.
Yep.
Does this sound
Sounds about right.
familiar?
Yep. Sounds right.
So,
I found socks in the fridge one time.
yeah, socks. I put socks in the fridge. Okay. So, have you tried black cohosh?
I have not.
Okay, that helps hot flashes. So try that first. There's a lot of ways you can go. You can go, maca is a natural route that everyone can do. It's safe with medication. That helps balance your hormones. Black cohosh helps hot flashes. The phenol GABA will help the crazy ant in the closet
I
thing.
need that. Yeah.
And let's see what else we got here.
Yeah, so the phenol
the
GABA
brain
will
thing.
help with your mood. It won't help with the hot flashes. You'll still have the hot flashes. You'll just care a little less about them.
Well, you have to do
That's
the black. You got to see if black cohosh works for you. Everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
So step into my office, Tracy, and I'll take care of you. We'll go through the whole
I'm
thing.
stepping in.
Well,
I'm
just-
gonna be stepping in.
Step in.
Since we're on the subject, I would say try something called DIM, which is derived
yeah.
from broccoli. And it's very, very effective for getting your body to not make the bad estrogens and make more of the good
Really?
estrogens. So very effective for everything from PMS to perimenopause.
All right. Yes, that's true. Can I explain DIM in my way and then
Yes,
watch Jeff
by all
roll his
means.
eyes? So I think of DIM as grabbing the bad estrogen out of your body and dragging it out. So it's been on Dr. Oz for weight loss because of that, because you know how we have excess, estrogen. So it drags that out. So we don't. A lot of people gain weight around their belly, around perimenopause, or
And what is that called again?
It's called DIM. It's got a whole long name that Jeff can say.
DIM. Just
But I
don't even
call it
bother.
DIM.
Just look for DIM.
Yeah.
DIM. And
And,
we have a lot of DIM products.
And we have a lot of, we have teenagers on it, as well as people our age. So it's good for everything.
I've been trying to write down everything on my notebook since I've been on the call with you, trying to write this down. So I'm probably going to come in and hand you my notebook page.
That's
So
fine.
Cipher this.
I'm pretty sure we'll be rebroadcast and maybe podcast. So
But come on down. We'll help you.
yeah, there's,
Excellent.
in addition to that, there's all the progesterone products that are all
True.
topicals, but that's something that would be better to deal with on site than on radio.
Yeah, I have to ask you some personal questions, or we would. So I don't want to do that on TV.
And this would be a good time to do our old radio disclaimer that we are not doctors. This is not medical advice. We tend to give advice about dietary supplements, health and nutrition, but not medical advice.
Oh, thank you. So if anyone wants to come down, like Tracy's gonna, we're Help the Appetites. We're at 44 Long Pond Road in Plymouth. We're right off of Exit 5. Near the police station, and now they've knocked down all the trees next to it, which is so sad.
It's really
Well,
odd.
thank you both very much for your answering my questions and holding my hand. I have tomorrow off, so I'm pretty much sure that I'm going to be in there with my notebook and looking for some assistance. So
Cool.
Thank you very much for everything that you guys do.
Thank you, Tracy,
Thank you.
for calling. You're our first caller. Thank you.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Yay.
Fun.
Thanks.
All right, you guys, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. I forgot about the DIM, something I've been taking since I've been
I know.
32.
Well, I threw it in there.
Thank you.
We don't want to miss out
That's
on that
why
one.
we're quite the team, right?
That's right.
All right, you ready for the next question?
What's the next question?
Okay. Is CBD safe for use in children? Lots of articles stating its amazing use in childhood cases of ADHD, autism, seizures, but no doctors seem to want to comment due to its controversial nature. And that's from Susie Sulfaro.
Yes, it is. I mean, the first time I even heard the term CBD was in reference to a story about a little girl from New Jersey who had, I think she had over 100 seizures a day. And they started giving her CBD, and she got the seizures down to, I think, 3 a day. Pretty amazing. And the basis of the story was, that CBD should be legal nationally, and this family really needed to move from New Jersey to Colorado, which was the only place where they could get it legally at the time. And I have to say, CBD is legal now, all 50 states. You don't need a card to get it. It's not derived from pot, it's derived from hemp. Very safe stuff, I think. Everybody you know has something called the endocannabinoid system, which is a system in your body that is designed to take up cannabinoids, which are the chemicals in hemp, in pot, in a lot of plants actually. We all have heard of THC. Well, the C in THC is cannabinoid. So that is, we're designed to take that. It's very safe stuff.
You know what we get asked a lot? We got about 20 questions on it, I think. Will you pass a drug test? Yes.
Yes.
If it's commercial.
Yes. Let me give you. Let's give that a caveat. If you get a commercially produced brand, one of the nationally available ones, they will be THC free. They've got to be they'll be very trace amounts that will not be detectable in a drug test. I don't think you can get 100% out, but it's well below the threshold of anything that would show up in a drug test, even if you use pretty large amounts. So it's nothing to worry about in that way. Once again, it doesn't come from pot, it comes from hemp. There's a lot of other herbs that have got cannabinoids in them as well. So if you've ever taken kava, kava has a plant chemical called yangaline that actually works on one of the type of receptors. Actually works on they call the CB1 receptor, which is the same one that THC works on, but it works on it in a much milder way. So if you were someone who just wanted to calm down and not be high, kava is a great way to go. We mentioned maca. You mentioned maca in regard to menopause. Maca actually has a chemical in it that blocks the enzyme that breaks down cannabinoids. So your body produces cannabinoids anyway, so you produce cannabinoids.
Yeah, it's in us.
You produce the things that we're talking about. And when you produce them for the same reasons that people take them, to reduce pain and anxiety. And when you do an herb like maca that actually blocks the enzyme that breaks it down, your body's endogenous cannabinoids will stay active longer, so you'll feel better longer.
You know what we should mention too? If you get too high on THC, CBD is the antidote to bring down the high.
It won't get rid of it, but it'll help
you
balance it out.
not feel crazy, as we've heard some people feel. So, should we take another call? Okay. Hello?
Hi,
Hi.
this is Nancy,
Hi, Nancy.
and I have a problem with swallowing food. Sometimes I can just feel it going down really slowly, and not all the time, but just sometimes. And then I was at my sister's the other night, and I was swallowing some of her delicious food, but I had to get up and from the table and leave because it just felt like I could just feel it go down really slowly, and I almost felt sick to my stomach, so I don't know what to do about it. Is there anything I could take?
Now, the impression I get is you're eating things and it's just sitting in your stomach.
Is it sitting in your
It's not
throat or
moving?
your stomach?
It's sitting in my throat, like that tract there, that
Like it's
I don't know what you
narrow.
call it, but it's down from your throat. It's down from
Yes,
your
so you're feeling it in your esophagus more than...
Yes, it just feels like it's going down really slowly, and I'm not eating a lot of food or anything. It's just and mostly it's bread or something hard like that.
What do you think?
That's a tough one. I don't think I've ever heard this question before.
No.
Going the food
I thought we've
going
heard it
down.
all.
I was thinking you were going more with the food was sitting in your stomach, which that's relatively
No,
easy to
it's-
address.
it's
Going
just
down
really-
slowly,
I
I have
don't
not
think of anything
heard.
that's good for the intestines. I think it's like the high, not a lower intestine, but more of something above that.
Well, I mean, if you felt that the food was not moving along fast enough, I can't say until it hits the stomach, it's kind of out of our realm of dealing with it. But
Except you can swallow with warm water. That helps people it opens everything
Exactly.
up and it helps everything go down. So you can
I
do
did
that.
do that, and it did help a lot.
Oh, good. That I know.
that's the advice we would give to you if you had trouble swallowing a pill. This is a little different. As far as things moving through your digestive tract, there's
Right,
things you
that's
can
it.
do for that. For instance, if you use digestive enzymes, that'll help break your food down more quickly and
What's that
better.
called again?
Digestive enzymes. So when you eat, your body is supposed to secrete the things you need to break your food down into usable pieces. So you'll secrete an enzyme that'll break your fats into fatty acids and your starches into simple sugars, and will break down your what am I missing? Carbohydrates, fats, proteins into amino acids. So you'll have usable pieces instead of just the things your body can't do anything with. But it'll break it down. Your body's supposed to secrete these things. Your pancreas will secrete pancreatic enzymes to break this stuff down. And a lot of times we
Right.
just don't do it very well. So
Could be.
doing the digestive enzymes
It's helped a
will
lot for
help you
people.
break your stuff down properly, and hopefully it'll move through your stomach and your intestines a little faster. And you'll get more out of your food if you're not
good. Well,
digesting your
try
food
that.
properly. And also, anything intestinal, do a good probiotic is worth its weight in gold. So do that.
Really? See, I always wondered about those, if those could, have side effects to them or something.
Probiotics? If you're a healthy person, you've got 3 pounds of that bacteria that we refer to as probiotics in your intestines. So that's 3 pounds of something you can't see without a microscope. You have a lot of them in you.
Really?
If you're a healthy person and you've got that number of bacteria in your intestines, the genetic material in the bacteria outnumbers your genetic material about 37 to 1. So there's a lot more of them in you than there is of you in you. So it's
Wow.
something that's really important to maintain.
Is there any number of, amount of it that you should take?
I would rather see people you don't have to be in the super astronomically high numbers, but I'd rather see people be in like the 30 to 50 range, 30 to 50 billion bacteria range, as opposed to some of the commercial products that are a billion or a half a billion. The problem with the products is that sounds like a lot. I mean, you tell anyone you're doing a billion of something, it sounds like a lot of things. So when manufacturers make a product, they know that you're going to let them go, that's a billion. There's a billion of them in here. That's just not very much. So the
that's safe.
more recent wave of products has been to be on the higher range. So I personally do a 35 billion every day, and I think that's a good amount. Other things to think about with a probiotic is you want it to be complex. There are single note probiotics which are used for very specific things. Things like Saccharomyces boulardii is a beneficial yeast that's used to fight off C. diff, for instance. But for the most part, you want the product to be complex. You want it to have several different types of bacteria. So you want it to have some bacteria that'll say L dot. You'll flip the label around. It'll say L dot. L dot means that they're lactobacillus strains. So they're going to be lactic acid strains. Those are going to settle in the small intestine primarily. And then you've got the bifido strain, so it'll be B dot. And those will settle in the large intestine.
So you want to think B big, L little.
Yep. So
That's how I remember
little
it.
intestine, big intestine. But you want to cover all your bases. So a lot of products out there are just going to be acidophilus. So acidophilus
L,
is, you want L dot and B dot.
You want the L dots and the B dots.
At 35 billion.
That'd be a good amount. I
That's
think if you can get up over 20, you're in good shape. But I like to see people in the 30 to 50 range, and that's I think a great way to go.
But you'll see just acidophilus at the grocery store. That's not going to cover what you need.
No, because it'll be one strain. That'll be one strain that'll settle in the small intestine. But the word acidophilus has become kind of like, Kleenex when people are referring to like facial tissue. It's just become the catch-all. So acidophilus, a lot of people say acidophilus when they really mean probiotic. So often you'll even have
I
your...
do have that in my yogurt.
You'll have some in your yogurt. The downside to a lot of commercial yogurts are they're not really
Not
active.
a lot, though.
Yeah, it comes in dead, a lot of the active
Yeah, so
components.
the nice thing about getting a probiotic is that it'll have a guaranteed amount. If you get a good one, if you flip the bottle around and it says 35 billion at time of manufacture, who cares? Who cares what it had in it when they put it in the bottle? You care about what it has in it when you put it in you. So you want it to say that it's going to have 35 billion or whatever billion you get, and you want it to be guaranteed till the expiration date. So for the most part, the products you're going to see in a store like ours are going to be that way. And a lot of
They
the ones,
kind of trick you.
a lot of the ones you
Yeah.
see in a pharmacy or a supermarket,
Will it say, how do they word that?
they'll say that it has a particular amount at time of manufacture, which doesn't mean that much to you.
No.
That'd be like me handing you a bag and I say, "There's $1 million," and then you open up and it's empty, and it said, "Hey, it had $1 million when I planned on handing it to you."
Yeah.
It's not the same. You're getting
No,
an
you
empty
don't want
bag.
that.
No, you don't. But you're welcome to come down and see us. We're Healthy Appetites, 44 Long Pond Road in Plymouth. And we will flip the bottle for you and give you a whole lesson. We'll do the whole show for you.
I have
We'll show you the one we take.
your business there.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Maybe
well,
I'll be in.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for your
I know.
slow-moving
I think I will
food
try
problem.
that.
But
Good.
yeah, why not? But the warm water always helps open things up.
It does.
Yeah. All right, thank you for calling.
Well, thank you so much.
2 calls, wow.
I know. That's so cool. You ready for the next question?
Well, I just want to get back to something that...
CBD?
On the CBD.
Okay.
That, people are afraid of CBD. They hear the word CBD. We know people who think that, CBD is heroin.
Yes.
It's not. Just so you know, things you might have in your home. Echinacea has cannabinoids in it. Chocolate has cannabinoids in it.
Wait. Chocolate has CBD naturally in it?
Has naturally occurring.
Oh, wow.
And so does black pepper.
Okay.
So all of these have got.
So we all have it in us. We're just adding, and it's kind of filling in the spaces that we need.
Yep. You are designed to absorb it.
Okay.
That's why it works so well for us. And that's why people really like the CBD, and that's why people like pot. It's just something that really we're made to use it.
So it's very confusing though. Speaking of, like even the probiotics are confusing on the labels. The CBD labels can be confusing too.
Yeah, just
The dosing.
as in regard to that, I think that always get a product, if you can, that says right on the label how much CBD is in it. Because you'll get a lot of products
But
that
they
will
make
just
you do
kind
math.
of vaguely say,
Yeah.
not ours. I mean, ours
I
say
know not ours,
the
but-
ones we do clearly say how many milligrams. If it's gonna make you kind of figure out what they've got, or it's kind of vaguely saying, we have cannabinoids, wink, wink, but they're not telling you how much. I like it to say CBD 1 milligram, CBD 3 milligrams, CBD 100 milligrams. So it's make sure your product is labeled that way, or you might not be getting what you think you're getting. There's a couple of good brands that are kind of unclear, but for the most part, they're going to tell you straight out that how many milligrams of CBD.
And what do we
are in the
have
product.
now? We have 1 milligram up to 100 milligrams. Okay.
And to be honest, they can be any increment. They're liquid, so just depends. The milligram strength of a lot of them is just going to depend on how much you do.
Yeah.
So some of them are 100 milligram, and they're 15 doses. Great. You want to do 20 milligrams? Just divide the dose by 5, and then now you've got 75 doses. So we'll help you out with the math.
We'll help you.
I do math all day.
We always
people as
ask
far as
him.
what's the best deal.
Yes. Yes, we always have you doing the math.
And just another thing I just thought was interesting: black truffles produce their own CBD,
Really?
which encourages animals to dig them up and eat them, and
that's-
that spreads the spores around so that they can propagate. So,
All
kind
right,
of a cool trivia thing about
It's nothing to be afraid of.
CBD.
It's good for you. Okay, and it won't make you high. And it'll bring down your high if you are high. Good?
Good.
All right, next question. Are there any natural vitamins that can control blood sugar levels? This is from Kimberly Power Garcia.
Yeah, there's a ton actually. There's a lot of things that really work well on blood sugar. One of the cheapest, easiest things is cinnamon.
But we should say not any cinnamon.
If you are going to do cinnamon as cinnamon, I would personally recommend you do it as a supplement. Then they'll be standardized. You're getting the same thing every time. All cinnamons are not created equal. Most cinnamon that you've had probably throughout your entire life is not even really cinnamon. It's something called cassia. If you're going to do it medicinally, you want to get Ceylon cinnamon. And that is real cinnamon.
Ceyon? Ceylon.
It's Ceylon.
Oh,
which is
I missed the L.
formerly
Ceylon.
Sri Lanka, or now currently Sri Lanka, I guess I should say. Formerly Ceylon. It's Ceylon.
CEY, that's right. I saw it, I just didn't spell it right. Okay.
And there's other types of cinnamon. They'll all work on blood sugar.
Yes.
The downside to some cinnamons is they can contain a large amount of a chemical that acts as a blood thinner. So if you're already using blood thinners,
You don't want to do...
or if you bruise easy, or for any number of other reasons, you're doing an aspirin regimen, for instance, you probably don't want to do a teaspoon or a tablespoon of table cinnamon unless it's going to be Ceylon cinnamon.
Right.
Which
You can
is-
still do Ceylon cinnamon if you're on a blood thinner. It's just you don't want to
You
do
don't want to
the...
use regular cinnamon.
Yeah, the stuff you get in the supermarket, the cassia. You don't want to do that if you're on a blood thinner. I wonder if doctors tell people that.
Most people don't use the amount of
much.
cinnamon that you would have to use to make it have a potent blood thinning effect unless you were doing it to try to keep your blood sugar
Yeah.
down. Although a lot of people this time of year will use a concoction of cinnamon and local honey. And you are supposed to use Ceylon cinnamon.
Right.
And this is an immunity formula. It's actually very effective. But a lot of people don't want to spend the money on the Ceylon cinnamon because it is cheap. It is more expensive. It's not as cheap as the other.
Our herb rack is so cheap, though. I don't think we've updated prices in a million years. It's
Well-
very fresh, too.
We won't start now then. But that's very effective. Once again, I usually recommend you do an extract of that. Another thing that's very, very inexpensive and easy to find is something called chromium, which is a mineral. Usually done in increments of about 200 micrograms. So you're going to see products anywhere from 200 to 500 micrograms
You see chromium in a lot of diet products, too.
because it helps control blood sugar.
Okay.
So when we first opened our store, every diet product
Had chromium.
because chromium was a hot product at the time.
Yeah.
You'll see different types of chromium. Chromium picolinate is the popular one. I like the chromium bound to biotin. I think that's very, very effective. I think that's a nice way to go.
Now, why do you like
And you can
chromium
get something
bound
called
to...
GTF chromium.
Why do you like chromium bound to biotin?
You've got two things. Biotin is a B vitamin that also helps with blood sugar,
Yeah.
bound to a mineral that helps with blood sugar. And
So
we've
it's-
gotten really good feedback
On
from the
that
people
one.
who are using that particular combination.
Okay. Alpha lipoic acid. Another...
Alpha lipoic acid is one of the best, if not the best, products for diabetes. Not, once again, we're talking about type 2 diabetes,
Right.
not type 1 diabetes. It works great. You use 300 milligrams twice a day. The feedback on that is fantastic. It's very, very effective, heavily studied, lots of clinical studies in Europe, and it just works like a charm. You wouldn't want to do that with existing diabetes medications. Of course, you wouldn't want to do it if you were type 1 diabetic and injecting insulin. But really works. And it's a great antioxidant. It's considered the universal antioxidant. It's one of the only antioxidants that works in fatty tissue and watery parts of the cell too.
Hey, let me ask
very
you
cool
this.
stuff.
So if you're on metformin, can you still take alpha-lipoic acid?
I would not start it if you weren't on it before the
Okay.
metformin.
But if you were on before, okay.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you were on it when you were, kind of prescribed the metformin, maybe they would give you a lower dose. But
Yeah.
that's something that's a question for your pharmacist.
Doctor, our pharmacist. Oh yeah, that's right. We always tell people, go to your pharmacist. They know everything.
They really do. I mean, that's kind of their job, is to keep you from having
Yeah.
a problem with your, this med and that med.
They're wonderful.
Or dietary supplements in our case.
So what's the next thing?
So Colpacci extract is one of the better herbs that have been clinically studied to lower your A1C.
Okay,
So the feedback we're getting on that is fantastic.
is it called something else?
It's called, the plant name is Hintonia.
Okay, so like on the bottle, does it say Colpacci?
No, it doesn't. It actually
That's
just
why I'm
says the
asking.
brand name. So we'll have to I'm not sure if we're supposed to.
All right, you got to come on
brand it.
down to talk about Colpacci.
We'll have to show you which one is the Colpacci, but it's got a great
You'll have to
reputation.
show me too.
And it's got lots of clinical research. So I really like that.
Okay.
And something that has really just popped up in the last couple of years that we never thought of for diabetes, we always thought of it as an antibiotic, is something called berberine.
Yeah.
So berberine is a plant chemical that we typically get out of golden seal, which a lot of people have heard of golden seal as a winter herb for wellness. It's a great antibiotic. Or in something called Oregon grapefruit. And there are there's tons of plants that contain berberine. But that we always thought of as just something you take, often with echinacea as a winter antibiotic herb. But it's fantastic for diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and for blood sugar control. So that's something we're seeing used a lot now for diet and for blood sugar issues.
Remember Golden Seal? Remember when we opened 21 years ago? And remember when we first opened, all the people who would come in for Golden Seal to pass a drug test?
Which doesn't work, by the way.
Doesn't work.
So you may have heard
But
that
people
that's something
still
that
come
works.
in because that's the time they're remembering is our
Yeah.
old 20 years ago. Everyone went and tried to pass a drug test with Golden Seal.
And we'll say, "Are you feeling all right?" They'll say, "Yeah, feeling pretty
Yeah.
good." So, well,
Yeah.
what are you using it for? Because if just that it doesn't work. There was actually a book written in England in the '60s, and the funny thing is that it got completely mixed up. Actually, the story said that Golden Seal would cause a false positive,
Right.
and somehow in the Haight-Ashbury community at some point that got kind of twisted around that Golden Seal would help you pass a drug test. It does not work for that.
Yep.
Great as an antibiotic, though, and it'll help your blood sugar.
And we might know something that can help you pass a drug test, but we can't talk about it here.
Yeah, and there's, just as far as the blood sugar stuff goes, there's a bunch of other things. There's something called Banaba, which has something called corosolic acid in it. You're going to see that almost exclusively in formulas, but that's very effective. There's a mineral called vanadium. You don't see that in a lot. You'll see it in some formulas. You don't see it as a standalone product very often, but there's a lot of things you can do for blood sugar.
All right, so ready for the next question? It's kind of related. Why is type 2 diabetes diagnosis automatically cause for a cholesterol medication? All right, so let me get this straight. So, this is from Kathleen Barrett. They diagnosed her with type 2 diabetes and they put her on a cholesterol medication?
Very common.
Okay, okay. I have a family member that I hope they didn't put her on that. I have to talk to her.
I have issues for that.
I have issues for that too.
But
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
it's common because when you are diabetic, type 2 diabetes often comes along with diabetic dyslipidemia, which is basically just your good cholesterol goes down, and certain types of your bad cholesterol, specifically something called very low density lipoprotein, goes up, and that's particularly rich in triglyceride lipoprotein. Another type of LDL called small dense LDL goes up too, and that is the type of cholesterol that's linked most closely to plaque in your arteries. So very often when you get the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, you end up with a cholesterol med too. The issue I have with statins in diabetes is one of the side effects of statins is it can cause diabetes. So I don't think that's a great idea. I also think that the dangers of cholesterol are very, very, very overblown. So I have issues with the fact that they do this, but they're not going to stop doing it. They're going to continue to do that. But there's other ways to address your cholesterol. There's other herbs you can use for your cholesterol. I don't really understand why one of the 4 major things that statins have to be labeled for is that it can increase your risk for diabetes, and then you're diabetic and they put you on one. I guess they figure you've already got it. We'll just put you on this too. But
There's
I can't
such
see
safer things.
I can't see how it helps. I mean, I don't think that it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm not a doctor.
No, you're not. Okay. You got one more question. You want to you have time?
I can blow through part of it, sure.
We might have to do a whole show on this, but we'll just hit the highlights.
Let me see the question.
It is.
Oh yeah, that's like a whole show.
Okay. Do you want to hit the highlights for her?
Yeah, we'll hit the
Okay.
highlights.
So, all right. This is from Jennifer Harris. Doctors say red yeast rice doesn't have statins anymore, so no point in taking it to lower cholesterol. Is that true? Red yeast rice is the natural statin you'll find in a health food store. That's what she's referring to.
Yeah, so there's an herb called red yeast rice, and it is a natural source of naturally occurring statins. So statins are in nature, they're in funguses and molds, but they're out there, so they naturally occur. So in 1987, the FDA approved a drug called lovastatin, which was sold at the time as Mevacor. Well, we came out with products in the health food industry that were made out of this red yeast rice. Red yeast rice has a naturally occurring product substance called monocolin K, which is virtually indistinguishable from lovastatin. Needless to say, the lovastatin people were not pleased.
They were not. They keep saying they're going to take it off the market or give it to the pharmaceuticals.
They tried. So the red yeast rice that was on the market in the early 90s. So when we opened, it wasn't really out there.
So that was 1996.
Came out probably, I think we probably had it since 97. It was not immediate, but it was pretty quickly after we opened. And the feedback we got from people was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Even nurses.
Over a little bit of time, one of the companies literally put a sticker on the bottle that said, this contains 0.2% lovastatin, which was a stupid thing to do. So this really annoyed the pharmaceutical industry, so they sued to get red yeast rice taken off the market. And the industry said, well, this is a naturally occurring substance. How could you have patented it for medical use?
Right.
And the judges sided with the pharmaceutical company. So what happened was red yeast rice had to take out or only leave in very small amounts. Actually, you were allowed to have the amount that would be naturally occurring in a traditional preparation of red yeast rice, which has been used in Chinese medicine for 1,000 years.
But Jeff, is that why when people use the red yeast rice, they have less muscle pain than they do on the other?
Getting to that.
Okay.
So
you got 4 minutes.
Once again, they kind of said you can't have high amounts of this monocolin K. The nice thing with red yeast rice is that wasn't the only thing that worked in there. So red yeast rice occurs with a natural array of statin-like substances that all do a little bit of the work. The one that was the problem was the monocolin K, which was very effective. Obviously, it was turned into a drug by a pharmaceutical company. And that's in there in very trace amounts. But there are other substances that are very similar that are not patented that are very effective for lowering your cholesterol, that are naturally occurring in the Reggie's rice. So Reggie's rice, despite the fact that that's been taken out, and there's clinical evidence of this, there's actually a company that guarantees they have 0 in theirs, 0 of the monocolin K. And they've done clinical research to show that despite the fact there's none of this stuff that the doctors are thinking is doing all the work, it still worked just as well as the statins did. So it's pretty amazing stuff. And people report far less side effects with that. Even if you're going to do Reggie's rice, we're going to tell you to do something along with it called coenzyme Q10. So coenzyme Q10 is something that your cells use to produce energy. When you take a statin, including Reggie's rice, the way that they work is they reduce your production of a chemical that your body uses to make cholesterol. You use that same chemical to produce coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 keeps all your cells running. Obviously, if you're not producing that properly, that's an issue. So when you take a statin, you are reducing your body's ability to produce coenzyme Q10, which is the reason that you get things like muscle problems and liver problems. You can get memory problems. That could be from other issues. That could be for a blood sugar issue.
So if you're having memory problems and you're on a statin,
it's one of the most underdiagnosed things out there.
okay, so that is connected, because we hear that a lot.
If you're an older person and you start to experience memory loss and it seems like it's a little accelerated and you're on a statin, it could be the statin. The study I read said that it's probably one of the more underreported side effects of any drug out there, because the people who take it tend to also be in the age group where you start to have age-related memory decline.
Right.
So if you take it, I mean, the study, the first thing I saw about memory, and specifically with the drug Lipitor, was a doctor, Dwayne Graveline was his name, and he took statins and literally one day went to the office, came home, wandered around the yard, didn't really know if he was in the right yard. His wife came to the yard. He didn't know who she was. She literally tempted him into the house with milk and cookies, got him in the house, and called 911 and got help for him. And it was because of the Lipitor. And they did one of these things where they make you stop taking Lipitor, and they reintroduce it, and he got the memory loss again. And this is not, he's not the only person that this has happened to. It's happened to a lot of people. But he's got a book out there called Thief of Memory that's about Lipitor. So it's one of the more common and underreported side effects of any drug.
Okay. Anything else you want to get to in a minute? You got a minute.
There's so little I can do in a minute.
All right.
But I think it's effective. I'd rather see someone do that than a statin. I have issues with the whole cholesterol model of heart disease that we would never be able to get through in probably a whole hour show, actually.
Yeah.
But I do think Reggie's rice is very effective, and I think it's safer than the pharmaceuticals.
If they want to have a cholesterol conversation, come on down. 44 Long Pond Road in Plymouth. We're Healthy Appetites. Thanks for being with us all
Thanks
hour.
for calling, too.
Yeah, 2 calls. That's so cool.